But it's definitely not the best. As you can see, although a migrant mother whose name is Florence Thompson is complying with the directions given to her by Dorothea Lange, you can see in her face she's not giving in. She's holding back a lot from the photograph. There, not the best shot. It's not till here that Dorothea Lange gets her picture. Okay, so there was a lot of moving things around, and I think the interesting thing is not so much that she was it was viewed as cheating to kind of move or pose. That's not so much what's interesting, but it's more about thinking about why were these directions given, what were the ideas behind it. So James Curtis wrote a book called Mind's Eye, Mind's Truth, where he examines this, and he puts forth some ideas about, well, why did this really occur? Now, the audience for these, all the FSA pictures were middle-class voters and who needed to support the New Deal programs. And in California, there was a huge influx of migrant workers coming in at a time during the Great Depression, when there weren't a lot of jobs, they were seeking work. And there were fears about these people. They were all called Okies, whether they were from Oklahoma or not. And they were really thought of as a different class of person. They were degenerate. Their morals were, they didn't have many morals. They were promiscuous. They were stupid. They were white trash. And so what Dorothea Lange was doing here was battling all those ideas and trying to prove otherwise. So what James Curtis puts forth is perhaps what part of the manipulation is here is, well, the teenagers is excluded because, well, if the mother is 32 and has a teenage daughter, well, let's do the math here. You know, what is that? Maybe that kind of is not going to make a good argument. It would just kind of feed into those stereotypes. If she has 7 children, and this photograph is going to be used to make a case that the government should be helping and supporting these people, then how, you know, it's kind of irresponsible to have so many children. So perhaps Dorothea Lange was thinking these thoughts when she made the photograph, and perhaps she was working as she would in the portrait studio, arranging, simplifying, and abstracting to make a strong composition. All right. So again, so there's no father, of course, with migrant mother. There was kind of the thought that to include the father in the photograph is a time where men were being emasculated by not having a job. You see the women alone, there's this need for the government to step in and help out. So here's another instance where the father's been cut out of the picture. We just see his feet, but then again, a nursing mother. All right. So one thing, The Grapes of Wrath, John Steinbeck's novel about the Great Depression, the very last scene is a scene about breastfeeding. So Rosa Sharon is asked by the matriarch of her family. She's a breastfeeding mother. She's asked to breastfeed a grown man who is starving, and she's going to help him, you know, survive. So John Steinbeck is using this kind of romantic picture to symbolize the strength of motherhood, reaching out to the heart of mankind. But Dorothea Lange, when she photographed nursing mothers, they're mainly looking fatigued and they're looking tired, and it's perhaps a more realistic view. Okay. So Lange's, a very good close friend of Dorothea Lange was Imogen Cunningham, which was part of this group of art photographers in San Francisco called F64 that included Ansel Adams and Edward Weston. And you can see here there's a different sort of aesthetics going on in depicting a mother. It's all about shape or form. The figure is fragmented. She's cropped of her subjectivity. She doesn't have a head. This is art as self-expression. And again, what Dorothea Lange said that she was doing is trying to allow the subject to speak through her out to the viewer. photography for her was not about self-expression. It was allowing the subject to speak. So another contemporary photographer to Dorothy and Lane was Tina Madadi, who was a Californian who went to Mexico, joined the Communist Party, and photographed Mexican women there. But you can see this image too, there's a cropping of the head and a focus on the baby, rather than representing the mother and her own subjectivity. So I can talk about many interesting contemporary photographers, but I'd like to end with this photograph of Kathy Opie's self-portrait, nursing her child, again wanting to break through our ideas, our preconceptions about motherhood, who mothers are, and what it is to be practicing mothering. And thank you.